Hello, and welcome to the Advent 7 podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and I'm joined by...
Trey.
And I'm Spencer.
All right, and today we are recapping episode 4 of My Teen Romantic Comedy SNAFU Climax. This episode was a big one. There's lots to unpack. Lots of depression for me to endure regarding our second best girl, Yui, but we'll get there.
So much depression.
Jeez. But first, plugs. So first, thank you to everyone tuning in to our podcast today. It really means a lot to us that you're taking the time to listen to us talk about shows that we like. If you've been keeping up with SNAFU Climax so far, but you haven't heard our previous recap podcasts, please check them out. There will be links in the description below. Also, our resident comic book junkie, Julian, has posted another comic book review up on our website. This time, it's over the DC comic book Teen Titans Earth 1. Written by Jeff Lemire, it contains a reimagining of the traditional Teen Titans story. In this new rendition, the main characters are high school students who receive a telepathic distress call from an alien named Starfire. And they're led to Star Labs, where they discover their new and latent superpowers. Please head on over to advent7.com and check it out. Lastly, please follow us on Twitter at advent_7 and subscribe to our YouTube page for all things anime, video games, and comic books. And as mentioned before, we have a website, advent7.com. Please check that out. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get on with the podcast. Spencer, can you start us off? What happened first?
Yeah, so we start out just with the episode in the aftermath of their prom video recording and stuff, and just kind of talking about how that went, and they're all just like, yeah, this went over pretty well. Everything's working about as planned. It's getting good reactions on social media and everything. And Yukino and Iroha are feeling pretty good about it.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, Yukino's just like, yeah, so I think we're good. We'll take it from here, and we'll let you know if we need anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which caught both Yui and Hikigaya by surprise. Even caught Iroha by surprise that Yukino told them, you guys don't even really need to help out anymore. You know, we have the student council, here to take up the rest of the effort. But I'll let you guys know as soon as possible if something else comes up that I need your help with. And Hikigaya it seemed like he didn't really know what to say to that. But Yui, she kind of takes it in stride and stands up and says, okay, yeah, well, let us know. Happy to help in any way we can. And they leave. I found that interesting, really. I felt like that was that show that Yukino is doing her best to change.
Yeah, and as far as Yui just kind of walking out, Yui's definitely willing to just like walk out and just be like, okay, yeah, that's fine, because Yukino straight says like, we'll probably at some point need you again, but when that time comes, I'll be sure to let you know. Like, as if his saying is like, yeah, I haven't forgotten about you guys. Like, I'll keep you guys in mind.
Yeah, no, that was nice to see. It struck me as soon as that scene happened, though, that Hikigaya still hasn't entirely let go. Like, he really does want to help. Because he didn't really say anything in the moment. Yui's the one that said something. And going off of previous episodes, it seemed to me in the moment that Yui is doing a much better job of letting go than Hikigaya, but for different reasons. She doesn't necessarily want to help Yukino that much, especially after finding the photo. So
yeah, she more wants to be with Hikigaya more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
She wants to be around him. Yeah.
And I mean, right after they leave, they both have that moment. And as they're walking through the halls, what was it? Yeah. Yui is just like looking down at the floor, and she's just holding onto her backpack straps, waiting for Hikigaya to say something. And I'm just like, you were trying so hard. You were doing everything right. Hikigaya just needs to take action.
Stood there. He just stood there, and they both stopped awkwardly.
There like a douchebag.
They just both stopped. They're walking in the hallway. They were talking about so I guess we're free now. Got nothing to do. It's like, yeah, me either. Both stop awkwardly. It's like, well, 2 seconds later, you want to go somewhere?
And immediately she's like, yes. Huh? What?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And just drags him off from there.
Yeah.
And obviously, just like it just doesn't go quite as she may have wanted. Like it's predicated on finding something for Komachi as like a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's okay with anything as long as she got the invite. That was the most important thing. He invited her out to do something.
Yep, something that she didn't have to force him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, Hikigaya is using Komachi as a driving reason for him to, act. As we saw this in last season too. So, yeah, he
in like these little like awkward moments, like don't know what to do. We'll use this.
Mm-hmm. Right. Relying on old tried and true tactics.
Yeah.
They go on this quote unquote date to go find something for Komachi, and on their way, go to this super nice shopping plaza that they decide to enter, they find the Max's coffee machine. I told you, Trey, this is the best part of the episode.
So confused.
This is the most animated I have ever seen Hikigaya.
He's so excited. He's taking pictures with it.
Like you see him like all flustered and everything when he's like talking with Totsuka like in the previous seasons. Mm-hmm. But this is like him like actually kind of like geeking out. It's like, this was unexpected, but I'm okay with it.
He's
okay, I need you guys to
coffee.
explain why this is such a big thing. Besides his love of Max Coffee, I
honestly have no idea. It came out of left field for me. I'm just like, oh,
it
okay.
Did, but I'm still happy it happened. Like there
Andrew,
was
you've been supporting the vending machine thing, and I'm like, what is this? What is any of this?
He's so passionate. Like he even goes into detail describing to Yui like the design elements of the machine and how you can really quote unquote feel the love. And then the design here, I'm like, dude, I didn't realize you liked coffee that much. Like,
or rather, this specific coffee machine.
This specific kind. Like, he did make some kind of comment in second season about Max cans. I guess he was searching for this Max's coffee in second season during the episode. I think it might have been the first or second episode. It's when the whole student body is on that trip, and it's nighttime, and Yukino is like looking at pandas and runs into him like in the foyer of their hotel, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was like the one time I mentioned it. I think back in 2015 when I was watching the anime, wherever I was watching it, the subs subbed that as Pepsi Max cans. Pepsi Max instead of Max Coffee. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. So I'm
that might be why I don't remember any of this.
Pepsi Max.
I didn't remember it from the second season either.
Maybe it would make more sense. I don't know. Pepsi Max was kind of a new thing back then. But yeah, no, he's freaking out over this coffee machine, just as we saw in the preview from the last episode. And to me, I'm like, okay, this is the highlight. This is my favorite moment. Like, I already knew that was the best part of the episode. And then Yui walks into frame and wants to take a picture with him too. And he actually smiles at the picture when he sees it. He likes it. I expected him to totally cringe.
He sort of smiled.
It was a smile.
He doesn't know how to smile.
Except when it comes to, discovering new coffee machines. He was smiling during that moment.
Yeah, he was absolutely glowing.
There were only like 2 different kinds of cans in that machine, by the way. There was the bottle and the can. I'm like, it's such a plain machine.
But it's fancy.
Just describes Hikigaya to a T, doesn't it?
Oh, Jesus.
It does.
That's why he liked it so much.
It describes Hikigaya to the coffee.
Yeah, I mean, coffee is, I guess something that he drinks with Komachi a lot. That was something that they bonded over in second season when he apologized to her. He offered to make her a cup of coffee. I think she was studying for exams or something. Trey, can you tell us where they shopped at, by the way. What was the name of the store specifically?
Yes, the glorious store that they go shopping at is Ike. IKE instead of IKEA, because
wasn't it like it was like IKE with a star on the end?
No,
like a
it was just IKE. It was just IKE. IKE because they can't actually say that they're shopping at IKEA, and it's totally an IKEA. It's blue and everything.
Oh yeah, it's got all of it. They copied like everything but the name.
Even the font style, the logo style was the same. They just cut off the A. So it's Ike now. Ike from Fire Emblem owns a clothing store or a large department store.
It's a furniture store.
It's a furniture store. Okay. He retired from Fire Embleming.
He makes the highest quality of furniture that breaks in.
Oh my God.
You can't find the screws. I mean, what? No, IKEA makes the best quality stuff. They don't serve horse meat. What?
It's the best quality furniture that can break cleanly in half. You can put it back together and break it in half all you want.
But they're looking around in Ike. Just kind of leads them to start talking about the future and asking about is like, do you have anywhere in mind for school? Career path, and that goes into the past of like what they wanted to be, and the joke comes up that Hikigaya's dream jobs they were all well-paying jobs when it comes right down to it.
He wanted to be an idol.
He wanted to be an idol.
The last one was a little out there.
Why not? We'll go with it. Sure, he's totally idol material.
I would also like to add that one of the things that he wanted to be was an oil baron.
That was
that too. I was like, okay. As a kid,
he was really gunning it for the money at that one.
Yeah. As a kid, sure, oil baron's always at the top of the list, isn't it?
Just absolutely. Not like firefighter or astronaut or something like that.
So boys, you say you think your dream job was, because obviously we're all adults now. We all have realism set into our lives. But back when we were young and full of hope, what did we want?
I wanted to work on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends as an animator.
That actually sounds awesome.
It was a great dream. I used to draw pictures of Blue and Mac all the time while watching new episodes. I'd take them to school and show them to classmates. They thought it was great. So this is me taking that dream, and instead of drawing cartoons, I'm talking about anime in a podcast on YouTube.
I wanted to do something with planes or space or something. And I guess I've kind of gotten that. Yeah. Because now I work as a software engineer for an avionics company. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, yeah. I kind of got there. It's close enough. I got to that part.
Yeah. You set your dreams big. You aim high so you at least get somewhere close. As they say.
Yeah, I just wanted to be a superhero. It was that or a scientist. These were my options as a child.
Dude, you're like a black belt in Taekwondo. I think that qualifies as superheroism.
Not yet. I have to save somebody first.
Okay, fine. We'll stage some kind of damsel in distress situation. Spencer, you can be the damsel.
Why do I have to be the damsel? Why can't it be you?
Oh, you pull it off better.
You're the smaller one.
You scream like a girl.
I scream like a girl.
So, that was an interesting conversation you and Hikigaya had, and it was nice just getting to see them talk about their future goals. And
not their goals.
Just a moment.
Their dreams, and then also Yui just kind of really laying down the.
She's saying how much of a wife material she is.
Yeah, she really laying down how much she actually likes. Hiki's like, he's like, I want to be this or this, or a wife, and then just kind of picks up stuff that's like around like the kitchen area that they're standing in. It's like, well, if you're going to be talking to Hikigaya, make it blunt. Yeah, that works.
Just be straightforward.
It wasn't blunt enough.
It wasn't blunt enough.
Oh, apparently not. He's still.
It caught him off guard. He's just like, oh. Yes.
Like, she looks cute in a kitchen. I feel like we're going to get canceled for that, but she looked cute.
Nah, we're fine. We're fine. We all know that's the truth. Yeah, she is trying. Like, she was super duper trying that whole time they're shopping together. Like, she's pitching ideas. You know, she was the one that led them to that shopping area in the first place. Like, Hikigaya just said, "Are you free someday?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm free now." And most of that moving forward was her motivating the actions. So,
because he can't figure out a gift for Kamachi because he knows how she'll react no matter what.
yeah, I liked how Yui also said, "Yeah, if my dad bought me something that I didn't like, I would never use it either." I'm just like, oh no. No, Hikigaya also says, like, "I feel bad for your dad."
Well, no, he said that in response to Yui saying, "It's like I'd rather have cash." In that,
oh, that's right. Yeah, she
it's
said,
like I would rather just get cash if he was going to buy me something that I didn't like. It was like,
don't we all prefer cash though?
Yeah, fair enough. Nowadays, I do. You know, as a kid, I probably wanted gifts more, but I could always use more cash to afford rent. In case anybody's listening to this and you want to donate, let us know. We'll put up a Patreon, maybe.
Like, yeah, we should set up a Patreon if we're going to do that.
That's the way it always goes. You know, it's content creators put up Patreons and no one donates shit, and you wonder why you put in all that effort. Now, Patreons are too mainstream now. We got to find something less mainstream that people will go to.
There's this tip jar app I heard about from
OnlyFans?
Getting the Robot. No, we're not doing it in OnlyFans. We can't afford that. None of us have the body for it.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about at this point.
Look it up.
Don't lie.
Just look it up.
Don't look it up, Spencer.
Look it up, Spencer.
We don't want to hurt you.
So, yeah, she is dropping lots of hints for Hikigaya to, you know, pick up on, but he's not really. He just is caught off guard. So, you know, they head off for the day. You know, it wraps up that scene. But the next scene after that, after the commercial break, that's the big boy. So I'll let you guys bring that up. So it's treason then.
So yes,
he's too dangerous to be kept alive.
So yes, our glorious, our favorite antagonists show up again. We get Yukino's mom.
No less.
Yes, we get Yukino's mom and Haruno having a conversation with Yukino and Iraha and the teacher.
I was honestly a little bit surprised that Iraha was the one bringing them to this. It's like, what's going on, Iraha? What's going on? And then all of a sudden they just walk through. It's like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, you didn't expect the final boss for a few more levels, but surprise, bitches.
So
like,
we get an issue from the PTO, which it's a very contrived reasoning for her to be there, because according to Haruno, it's more of a minority disconcerting with the prom.
Yeah, it's that overall everyone was pretty fine with stuff, and it's like, but no, that even though they're minority, doesn't mean that we don't listen. It's like,
I'm pretty sure you do in this scenario, actually.
So to back up what we're saying, we got Mama Yukino saying that some concerning voices from the PTO say that this idea of a prom has become very obscene.
Obscene.
Like it's very unbecoming of children, of young adults graduating from this high school. We don't see it as necessary.
Yeah, it's very odd because she goes on to describe that it's like a select few that have complained about this. Haruno actually chimes in and says, like, it's a mixed opinion amongst the majority of the PTO, and there aren't that many naysayers in the bunch. And Yukino's mom comes back at that and says, like, yes, but shouldn't we acknowledge even like the smallest opinion, even the minority opinion matters? I don't think it does for an event like this where you're holding it for the entire student body. Yes, it also is kind of meant to be for some of the staff as well, but like If some people don't like it, they don't have to send their kids to the event.
Yeah, pretty much. And even Iroha says it's like, if that's the case, then it's the parents that need to deal with this. It doesn't mean that everyone else needs to have a bad time.
And then the teacher cuts her off.
It's like,
Yeah.
Pick your battles, kid. But also, guys, we've officially entered Footloose territory. This season is turning into Footloose.
Oh, no.
Oh, geez.
Oh, no.
No singing, no dancing, no happiness for anyone.
We're already in the dancing area. We've already seen that. But singing, oh, boy. I think I remember that the author of the light novels was asked on Twitter a couple weeks ago if there's any quote-unquote fan service that the viewers can expect to see later on in this specific season. And the author came back and responded to that. The gist of what he answered was there is fan service in terms of a rap battle that will eventually happen at some point later in this season. Fans
of a rap battle to debate whether or not they're going to have the prom.
I will link this article I read. I think I read on Anime News Network in the description below. But yeah, he answers that, yes, for fans of rap, there is going to be a rap battle that'll happen between two specific characters. So that's fan service for those people. But in terms of beach episode or swimsuits you're looking for, no. I thought that was hilarious. So
yeah, he's just like, I see what you're questioning.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you no.
So we might be
doing that.
We might be getting to singing territory at some point, or at least a rap rendition. Who knows?
Yeah.
I will cringe when that does
that'll
happen.
be funny if that comes to pass.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so our conversation with Mama Yukino had basically devolved into, well, we kind of lose the conversation because it's more or less the same going throughout. But as we zoom out into Hikigaya's mind, him analyzing the situation, it's like, you can't fight her with logic. This woman, she's cold and calculating. There's no fighting her. You gotta throw her off guard quick. But all they could do was kind of have a stay of execution instead of...
because Hirutsuka was even asked, like, what do the teachers think about this? And she basically comes out and says, like, the teachers would rather not, like, cut this off, like, halfway through after all the students have done. They've prided themselves on letting the students do their own thing within reason. And they would like it to keep it like that. And they would have discussions further.
Yeah.
Basically just kind of, like what you were saying, a stay of execution on this.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to bring this up at the we'll talk more at the next meeting. Hopefully things will have changed by then.
And Hikigaya, like, immediately is his eyes lower, like he realizes this isn't going to be fixed today. There's going to be more conversations, more to fight in the future. That sucks. This is the type of conversation that's not going to just end.
So after that, we proceed to our secondary conversation of just, it's like the teacher immediately goes for a smoke. It's like, we kind of get confirmation that she possibly is leaving.
Not just possibly, she is.
She's totally leaving. And she hasn't even told them yet.
She doesn't know. She said it's not for sure yet. She's most likely leaving, but
we know she's leaving.
We know that she's leaving because it's the final season, but they don't know. She technically does not know because she hasn't taken the job yet officially. She hasn't gotten the offer. She's just very aware that she applied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even Haruno got upset at Hiratsuka saying, you haven't told them yet? They should know by now. Like, they're smart enough to figure it out. You may as well just tell them, but you can't because you don't want to.
Yeah, pretty much. And that whole conversation then leads into what they're going to do about the rest of the, like, the prom conversation.
Yeah.
And Yukino just kind of thinks to herself, like, okay, I'll have to tweak this to not make them mad, but then kind of catches herself and is like, no, I'm going to have to somehow convince them that what we're doing is fine.
rap battle convincing. I'm putting my money in it now.
She's going to rap to the whole student body and the staff about why the prom is like worth having.
Yeah.
Oh,
Parents
no.
don't have to worry about it.
And then Hikigaya just kind of starts just kind of making plans himself. And Yukino cuts him off, saying, "He's like, no, this is a student council issue. We will handle it." And that's where we get into Haruno kind of
And once again, it's the Haruno trollery hour.
Yeah, Haruno trollery hour commences.
Because they didn't endure enough punishment by this point, just being in the same room as Yukino's mom. Haruno has to have her time to shine and just shit on everybody else's fun.
Yeah, and thus we get a little more mind games from her, but she's not 100% wrong, which is always the problem.
Right. Yeah. So real quick, before we get to that, I also wanted to mention that when Haruno mentioned to Yukino's mom that the opinions on the PTO are mixed, Haruno's mom, makes the rebuttal, and Haruno just stops talking.
Yeah,
she's just
scared.
She just looks away, just continues drinking her tea. That threw me for a loop. I was shocked to see that the villain that we've been, dealing with up until now had somebody else that she was so afraid of. She didn't even try to continue that conversation. She just dropped it immediately. She just admitted defeat.
She knows her place. She knows not to fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she knows by now that it's not worth it, so that she let go. But yeah, after that conversation was over, once again, she tracks down Hikigaya as he's going home and induces more bad thoughts into his brain. And remind me, what is it that she tells him?
She tells him that that the term for their relationship is codependency, and she gets stopped when she's trying to say it when they were all in the same room, because she basically directs it at Hikigaya, saying like it feels good to help her, doesn't it? It's like you can't just, sometimes it's not always the right choice to lend someone a helping hand. And she's like, do you know what the term for your relationship is? Just kind of all high and mighty of her. And Yukino just straight stops her, and she's kind of mad. He's like, and she just says, they get it. And Haruno just kind of stares stunned at her.
Yeah.
It's like, you saw the look on her face.
Haruno was shocked.
Yeah.
Even more on Yukino's face. It was heartbreaking almost.
Yeah, Yukino was genuinely sad because she knew what was happening.
Yeah. And so the whole thing kind of comes up that the word that she was trying to say in there, and that she then explains to
it was love triangle, right? It was love triangle.
Totally a love triangle. I mean, he's not wrong. It kind of was that. I feel like for a love triangle to be a triangle, each person needs to like the other person. Instead, it's both Yui and Yukino going after Hikigaya.
It can be one way.
No, that is the very definition of a love triangle.
I thought that love triangle was like a constant. Okay.
No.
Okay, it is a love triangle.
You can have one-sided triangles, like Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura.
But then it's just an acute angle. It's
like
not,
they have
not
3 points. It's got 3 points, and they all have a relationship with each other. It's just not the same type of relationship.
Okay, fine. I was wrong. It's a love triangle. But I mean, he was semi right in saying that. It's just not what she was going for. She said codependency, and my jaw dropped in that moment. I hadn't really thought of that word for this whole situation until now, but she's totally right.
Yeah, sadly.
I thought that's what she was going to say when she was trying to say it in the room, and I wasn't expecting them to actually. I wasn't expecting Haruno to actually spell it out to Hikigaya later on. I thought they were going to let that linger somehow, but I was sitting there thinking, it's like, what is she saying, that they're codependent? And yeah, sure enough, that's what she was saying. And it's definitely Haruno specifically is kind of directing that at Hikigaya and Yukino. From what I understand, this is where she's coming from, is that Yukino is always being like saved or pushed on by Hikigaya, But Hikigaya, whenever he helps, is helping her or people around him, but in like the most sacrificial way possible. Like, if he's going to find a way to actually fix things, it's going to be by sacrificing himself. And he just can't stop doing that.
Right.
And Yui and Yukino haven't really been stopping him from doing that. And they've actually been kind of almost making him feel good about it. Like, they've said that it's like, no, you shouldn't do that. But they don't go off and actually stop him or really.
They let him do it. They
just kind of let him do it. They kind of like almost call him out, but over time, Yui just kind of wanting to like sticking around and everything. She lets Hikigaya do these things, and as well as Yukino. And Yukino has kind of taken a couple of points from Hachimon in some cases.
Right. Yeah, that definitely showed itself in second season too, where she was just starting to let go and let Hikigaya do everything.
And then going back from Yukino's perspective, the whole thing of like she needs to be able to do stuff on her own. And I think this kind of goes more into just Haruno's like worldview based off of her and her family's upbringing. Basically, they're all like very business-like. They're like in managerial positions. It seems
disgusting.
Like it's like if things are going to be done, it needs to be done by them.
Yeah.
And not having what she's seeing as just a bunch of friends coming in and helping her and then leaving. It's no longer Yukino being the one in control and thus showing what she can do anymore at that point.
Yeah, Yukino had a very heartbreaking line where she says, if I can't do this myself, if I keep relying on you, I'll become useless. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like this.
I feel like the characters in this show, but especially Haruno and Yukino's mom, they feel like if you accept help from others, then you're not doing it yourself, and therefore you haven't earned it. You haven't proven anything about yourself, your ability, or what you can do. And in my own opinion, you don't really get anything of big, substantial evidence done without the help of others. You always need the help of other people in order to get anything really big like a prom to happen. It takes all these many different cogs in a machine to get something that big working. You can't just do it alone. It's okay to accept help from your friends. Your friends are there to help you because they care about you and they know you would do the same for them. So friends are there to support you. Now we are running into the problem where Hikigaya is just taking away the problem entirely from Yukino and Yui every time and sacrificing himself to do it alone. That is codependency. He can support like Yui and Hikigaya did for the prom, where they just showed up, they did the dance number, they wore the costumes, they helped set some things up. But they didn't do the planning aspect. That was up to Yukino and Iraha because they both took on those mantles and they did their job. And
that's ultimately why why Yukino was able to say, it's like, okay, yeah, we'll call for you whenever we need you next. She was very much in the managerial position that her family would probably view as being correct at that point.
And I felt like that was right. That was good to tell them, next time I need your help, I'll let you know. And then you can come back and help because I will need it. That's great. She is doing her best to handle things on her own, but she acknowledged in that moment that that's not always the case. Sometimes you just need help. But after her mom swoops in and Haruno swoops in and screws up everybody's mojo, it's like Yukino feels that she has to do all of this without the help of Hikigaya or Yui now. Like they just can't touch it. And that's where I feel like these characters, they're just taking things to extremes because they're on these emotional highs right now. They're just so driven by all this just tension. And that's really sad to see. You know, they're taking it to these extremes when they don't need to, but it's because Yukino's mom has been instigating all of this because she's a bitch. Yeah, that's at the end of the day, that's all I can say, because we still don't know a whole lot about her mom other than what Yukino and Haruno have told us, which are really scary things. Haruno, even Hikigaya acknowledged in this episode saying, I now totally understand what Haruno Yukinoshita meant when she said her mom was scarier than she is. We all saw it, and it was terrifying. You could see the force lightning emanating from her fingertips. It was freaking terrifying.
It's like if we had more time, we would just edit this entire scene into the Palpatine throne room scene. But moving on.
Could do it. We'll see.
But we hit the final scene of the show, and once again, it's a heartbreaker. So, we start with Hiki and Yui walking home. They're talking about plans for baking the cake for Komachi, which they decided on earlier. It's like, well, instead of giving her something she wouldn't like, just give her food. Food is always a good option.
Food is always a good option, especially cake. Cake,
unless it's a lie. But moving on.
It was,
cake is never a lie. How dare you?
No, now everything is cake, according to Twitter.
Yes, everything is cake.
Yeah,
everything is cake. You.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they're walking along. They're talking, and then phone goes off, and it's like, oh no, here comes the bomb. It's like the prom is canceled. We don't know what to do, but the prom is canceled. Hikigaya goes immediately to call Sensei and to figure out what the plan is, what they need to do. And she's like, I can't tell you unless you're actually going to help for the right reason. And he finally decides, like, I need to help because I promised I would save her. And as he's about to turn and leave Yui to go back to the school to get the information, Yui starts crying. Couple tears. And she plays it off by saying, I just felt so relieved hearing that you're going to go help. But don't worry about it. I can walk home fine by myself. And she's gone. She goes around the corner, disappears. And Hikigaya, he's left with the choice of go after her, make sure she's okay, or go to the school and try and save the day. It's a very heartbreaking scene.
He ditched second best girl. Okay. He ditched second best girl. She's not best girl because Iraha's best girl. He ditched second best girl. And I'm a little pissed. She knew.
Yui's just been having a lot of sad moments.
She's just
over the past while. It's
no
just
luck.
like, oh man.
No luck at all. Yeah, she's just taking all the beatings. And she even admits at one point that she says, quote unquote, I could never give up, let go, and refuse the way that she did, referring to Yukino. She admits that Yukino has something she doesn't. Yui recalls all the times that she wanted to tell Hikigaya, don't go to Yukino. Don't help her. Stay with me. Come to me. Why are you helping her? But she could not bring herself to say it. And she feels like this is the reason why she lost. Why Hikigaya, in that moment, chose Yukino without hesitation over Yui. You know, he went to the school. He answered the phone call, got really upset about it, admitted why he wanted to help Yukino, and he left. He would have only stayed to help Yui out of consideration, but not because he was picking her over Yukino, and Yui knew it. That was a real heartbreaker. That was a scene that I was hoping I wouldn't see this season, and I saw it, and I'm just thinking back to all the great moments they had together since the beginning of first season, and I can hear the violins play. I can feel the water soaking around my feet. I can see all the people on my ship running around, screaming, terrified. We're going down, ladies and gentlemen. I may as well pick up an instrument and start playing.
Just stand at the point of the ship.
You know,
just stand at the point of the ship as it's going down and just salute and just being like, we had a good run.
Mm-hmm. But there's still, how many more episodes left? There's 8 episodes left?
Yeah, there's like 8 episodes.
It's going to slowly sink. I'm going to be drowning here for a while.
She's gonna go for she's gonna go for the domestic girlfriend route. She's gonna play the coma route, and it's gonna be fine.
No. We're not going to do that. I'd rather give up now than go the route of domestic girlfriend and just get knocked back and forth. That is torture. I don't understand domestic girlfriend fans. I tried reading the manga after I watched the anime. It is pure hell. My recommendation is don't do it. I don't want that to happen either.
And then we end the episode with a different version of the current ending with the subtitle Yui's Ballad. And it's mostly a down-tempo version of the current ending, but it's coupled with what precedes it. It's a heart-wrencher. No visuals, just white text scrolling across a black screen, and
we get some sad as hell credits.
Oh yeah.
I may have screamed once or twice during that credit scene. I don't know. I think Trey can vouch for me.
Yeah, it was really sad just kind of seeing Yui come to the conclusion that Yukino said no to Hikigaya and was willing to go that far, but then kind of realizing that had she actually started crying in front of Hikigaya and that he would have stayed, she would never have been able to let go.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's going to improve, she needs to basically let go at this point.
Yeah, she
preemptively. She doesn't want to be the one. She doesn't want to win by consideration.
Right.
She would if she continued to cry, then Hikigaya would have stayed just because she was crying, not because he chose her. It's because in that moment she needed him most. Maybe we still don't fully know. He might have still chosen to walk away. She took the easy route out of his hand and made it a choice. And given the two situations, well, she played it off like she was fine. So he can't read social situations at all.
Which I think is hilarious because he's supposed to be mega observant. He's supposed to read people's actions and know their motivations and stuff. But when it comes to emotions, he just doesn't get it. He wants to understand, but he has no idea. He's a friggin' robot. What are these emotions? Cannot compute. You guys remember that from episode 1 or 2? I think it was episode 2.
That was 1.
That was 1. Okay. Yeah. He doesn't get that, and that's why he has such a hard time communicating with others.
Well, and Hiritsuka, when he was on the phone, he was trying to not say what the reason for him coming back and helping was, and Hiritsuka basically forced him to actually say it and put it into words, because nobody's going to understand anything if you don't actually put it into words.
Yeah, she's like, I've had enough of your crap. Just tell me why you want to do this, because Yukino already said to you she doesn't want your help. So you got to tell me straight up, why do you want to do this in spite of that? You need to provide an answer. Otherwise, I'm not going to help you.
Mm-hmm. I'll still be here, still waiting.
Was there anything else that we wanted to mention about that last scene where Hikigaya picks Yui over Yukino? Is there anything we didn't cover yet?
No, I think we covered basically everything. I am going to say that my early assumption that this whole season might revolve around the prom is still holding stronger. Stronger now.
Yeah, we've still been going on about the prom. That is the central conflict at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's probably going to stay that way.
Yeah, so that was definitely a good call on your part, Trey, that, the opening really lends to it. The opening was all about them dancing, and we questioned that in the first podcast, asking, what's going on here? And, I mean, by episode 4, we're still talking about it. Okay, well then, any closing thoughts, guys, just about the whole episode in general, your impressions or what you're hoping is going to happen next, or any answers you got this episode that you were surprised about?
It was a little bit heavier of an episode than previous ones, just with Haruno's whole codependency like word drop, and that took me a little while, honestly, to kind of think about. Because the first thing that pops into my head for like codependency isn't really related to like the emotional codependency that she may have been getting at with this group in particular. Codependency, normally when that comes up, is usually with some sort of addiction and enablers and stuff like that. At least that's where I've seen it a lot. So it took me a little bit of thinking to try and figure that one out.
The concept of codependency is not one you often see portrayed in anime. At least they don't talk about it directly like this show is. Yeah. So, yeah, I get that.
I think it was a little bit harder for me to kind of piece those thoughts together, just because we've seen pretty much everything from Hikigai's point of view, and we've had some moments, some like brief moments coming from Yui, but I don't think in the entire show we've actually had anything from Yukino's perspective where it's just her on her own, like having like a talk or a monologue or anything. So it kind of made it kind of weird to try and think about it from Yukino's perspective, just because we haven't really spent a whole lot of time looking at things from her perspective.
Right. We don't know exactly how she would feel about being told that what is happening is codependency, whether or not she'd agree with it, or if it's something she's already been conscious of for a while that she's trying to avoid. Because she did say to Haruno in that one moment, like, stop, they get it, they already know. So,
yeah, they know.
Yeah. You know, so maybe she's assuming that all three of them already knew that what it was codependency, and Hikigai's the only one that didn't know it, or maybe she was referring to something else. Maybe she was just trying to get Haruno to shut the hell up.
Yeah.
That was still nice. It was still a good moment. I was happy to see that Haruno did stop.
It's actually something else in that codependency conversation that struck me, and hopefully we get a little more explanation on, is Haruno talks about how Yukino is trying to grow up and become an adult, become independent. And Hikigai asked a very potent question: what is she giving up to become this adult you want, that they want her to be? And Haruno responds with, "Is something that I also gave up a while ago," and that's about it. It's like,
I shouldn't elaborate too more on that.
It's like, well, hopefully we get some information on that. Our next episode's going to be focusing with Sensei on this one, so
that's right.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I personally want to see Hiratsuka finally do something of very imminent impact to the current situation, because she always takes the stance of, you know, the doting teacher who watches from the sidelines. And I get it. I think she's been doing things right up until this point. But I really would like to see her make an action that directly benefits the main cast, that helps them, because they have struggled time and time again, and they're struggling right now. I long for that moment where the sensei, you know, slaps the villain across the face. I at least want some kind of scene where she helps them out directly instead of just providing, you know, advice all the time. But she's leaving the school soon, so who knows if that'll happen. Yeah, you're right, Trey. I also am looking forward to hearing more about what Haruno is referring to. If I were to guess, I would say that what Haruno was saying that Yukino would have to give up on is her dreams. She'd have to sacrifice what she wanted to do, which is a big part of anybody. That is important. That's what drives you to make actions in your life, to do what you want to do. If Yukino gives up on that in order to become a quote-unquote adult, then she'll do everything that her parents wanted her to do, which is a whole lot of nothing, apparently. And that's really sad. It's absolutely sad. It feels like that's what Haruno has done. She's just given up on what she personally wanted for the sake of their parents. And that's toxic as hell. It's really bad. One last comment that I want to throw out there is during the scene where the mom shows up and she just is not absorbing any kind of logic that the main characters are throwing at her. You know, I actually felt a bit of gripping tension in my own chest just watching that scene, because I think that almost anybody knows how difficult it can be to argue with your own parents. You know, to be in a deadlock with them where you know what you're doing is right, but it's hard to just convince your parents what you're doing is the right thing. Yukino is struggling with that right now. What'd you say, Spencer?
It's her way or the highway.
Yeah, exactly. And it shouldn't be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. There can be a compromise. Iraha said that, you know, we plan ahead and talk to the PTO ahead of time to avoid any kind of issues happening later that would make the school look bad. But Yukino's mom just does not hear any of that, just bounces it off. And it's like, how the hell do you reason with somebody like that? You really can't. And Hikigaya touched on that. So, you know, I felt scared for Yukino in that moment. And you could tell she was flustered. You could tell how exhausted she was after that discussion. That is like the hardest kind of confrontation anybody can do, much less Yukino herself, where she already has a lot of apprehension just to tell her mom what she wants in her life. That's sad. And I think that's one of those few moments out of this whole series where you can look at it and be like, that's what the show's about. This is the show in a nutshell. This scene right here, it's all the drama, all the tension, all the desires of the characters rolled into one scene. And you see that and think like, this is why I enjoy the show. At the same time, this is why it's heart-wrenching to watch. And like the end of every podcast we've had so far, I'm going to tell you guys, I still can't really predict where things are going to go next. I have no idea. I also thought that it caught me off guard that Yui is already surrendering to Yukino this early on. I thought that plot line was going to stretch out a little bit longer. Maybe we get to episode 8 and Yui would give up, but she's already starting to acknowledge where things are at and she's letting go of Hikigaya. After episode 3, which was a lot more fun, I guess we were due for a heavy-hitting dramatic episode, and it feels like there's just more on the way. So here we go.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to point out that Yukino's mom pulled the rich daddy card during the conversation.
Yeah, she did.
She said, it's like, your friend, any friend of your father that has a problem with this talks through me.
That's cheap.
Thus,
low
it's
blow.
just like, oh my god, there's a second billet after this.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, so if this is Palpatine, then, or like, who's the dad? The dad's just like the existence of evil.
Yes, the dark side of the Force.
The dark side.
It's like the son from Star Wars, from the Clone Wars. Anyone who remembers that, it's like, you're cool. Glad you're listening to the podcast. But yes,
well,
that's about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess we'll just wrap this up. Well then, thank you everyone for tuning in. My name's Andrew.
I'm Trey.
I'm Spencer.
All right, and please check out our comic book review over at Teen Titans Earth 1, as well as our previous podcasts if you haven't already. Also, let us know in the comments below what you thought of episode 4, as well as any comments on something that we may have missed in our podcast today. Also, please check out our website, avon7.com, and please subscribe to us on YouTube and Twitter. Okay, thank you for joining, and we will see you all next time.
Have a good day, everybody.